Hello and welcome again to another episode of Jedi and Germs, brought to you by tornbysports.com. Wow.
That
You
was
know what?
something.
Yeah, that was something, and it definitely wasn't good. I'm glad Devin's not here to record so I can cut out what I want of it. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of Jedi and Germs, brought to you by tornbysports.com and also brought to you by the good folks of fanessentials.net. Folks, head on over to fanessentials.net. Uh, find all the NBA teams, merchandise, everything you can imagine, all sorts of fun swag that you can get in a box delivered right to your front door. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to the store. You just head on over to the website, click to sign up, and you'll receive your first month. Go ahead to checkout, and when you do, use code Jedi and Germs for 30% off your first month. If you haven't taken advantage of this, folks, head on over to fanessentials.net. Take advantage of the wonderful deals. I've actually gotten a swag box from them before. It's some really cool stuff for any of your favorite NBA teams. Get any of them, I mean, Utah Jazz, you could probably put more than one. The box I got had Houston Rockets. And, just head on, sign up.
Hello? Hello? Your voice got digitally and now I can't hear anything. Hello? 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 Can you hear me? I can hear you doing something.
Yeah, I was just messing around with things. I can hear you now. Do I sound better?
Yeah.
Do I? Oh, come on.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear
Okay. I don't know what it was doing. That was just weird. Come on. Fix here, silly thing. Why are you being slow, you stupid freaking machine? All right, let's try this again. See if I lower my bandwidth to where audio only. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, well, we'll try this again. We'll see. I don't know what happened, but maybe this time it'll stay. So, meanwhile, let's see how much of it's recorded. Yeah, we'll just try it.
Okay.
All right. Hello and welcome again to another edition of Jedi and Jerms, a weekly podcast brought to you by tornbysports.com and our good friends fanessentials.net. Head on over to fanessentials.net where you can find all your favorite NBA teams' merchandise and have it delivered right to your doorstep. fanessentials.net. It's a great place to get a swag box delivered on a monthly basis. They've got great prices starting at $14.99 and $34.99 respectively. Use the promo code Jedi and Jerms at checkout for 30% off your first month. Visit fanessentials.net and get all the essentials you need. John, how are you tonight?
I'm great.
Excellent. It's been a couple of weeks. We didn't get together the last couple of weeks. I hope everybody had a chance to enjoy our outtakes episode. I know I did. I don't know. John, you enjoyed it?
I did too. I enjoyed it.
Give us a few laughs to go with. So we hope everybody listening had a chance to enjoy it. It's dry time of the summer, not a lot going on in sports, but you had some stuff, you popped out, decided we could talk about, and I think we got a few things we can fit into a little episode tonight. So what'd you have on tap first? What do we want to talk about?
Well, Utah Jazz notes are sparse, but I was looking at CBS's rankings of starting lineups, and they have the Jazz as the fifth best starting lineup coming up this season, behind only Golden State, San Antonio, Cleveland, and the Clippers, not exactly in that order. And then Jazz are fifth. And then they also did a ranking of bench, and they ranked the Jazz with the number one bench.
I saw that. What do you think? Do you agree with it?
I can't argue with their logic. I think this really puts pressure on Quinn. It's like, all right, you have all the talent now. It's up to you.
No, I agree too. I'm a little okay. When you really break it down, I guess I can't be too surprised. I was gonna say a little surprised that Golden State didn't get some love, but then when you really think about it, look at how much of their bench they gave up in order to bring in Kevin Durant. So I don't know that the Warriors are nearly as deep as they were last year. So I with that logic, I can't disagree that the Jazz are definitely a deep team right now.
Yeah, they are a solid 10 deep, and then your 11th player is Joe Ingles or Jeff Withey, however you want to look at it. And it's just so much better than than giving Chris Johnson minutes. So, it just got me that much more excited. I know it's August and we still have to wait, but anything I can get, I'll read.
No, I agree. Like I said, I mean, we're heading into the dog days of summer right now, and we're past summer league. The next thing on tap is the Olympics coming up, but beyond that, there's really nothing to get excited about until football season and fall camp for the NBA.
Yeah, that's true. Men's basketball, they got through all the preliminaries. I didn't watch a single preliminary game because I don't really care. But this Saturday is when Olympic play starts for basketball. And the finals will be on the 21st, assuming the U.S. makes it. I was looking at their tiers, and they're with Venezuela and France. France will give them a challenge. France is probably really the only truly challenging one in that group. They got China. Now I can't remember who the other ones were. But I'm expecting a rout.
No, I do too, and I did a piece a month ago about it, thinking about coming up, and I'm going to say this: I don't think that the U.S. are going to be very tested in the Olympics. To start with, at the beginning of summer, I had my doubts, but I don't think they're going to be. And France might be the only team to test them, but if I read the news right yesterday, France was being tested in an exhibition game this week.
Oh, no, I hadn't seen that.
I don't remember where I saw it. I'd have to go back and hunt it down. But from what I gather, they were getting it. They were having some tough times with the team either yesterday or day before in one of the exhibition games. So I don't know. It's up in the air, but I still think it's the USA's to lose. I think this is their Olympics to lose. I don't if they do something stupid, they're going to lose. Otherwise, I don't expect them to lose at all.
Well, I mean, just to review the roster, it's Carmelo Anthony, Harrison Barnes, Jimmy Butler, DeMarcus Cousins, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, Paul George, Draymond Green, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan, Kyle Lowry, and Klay Thompson. You have Kevin Durant, so everything after that is great. No LeBron this year. That's fine. In fact, only Carmelo Anthony and Kyle Lowry are the only ones in their 30s on this team. Everyone else is in their 20s, so they're the vets, I guess, leading the way. But yeah. That's still a solid group.
No, I agree, and I think Kevin Durant, he's got experience in the Olympics. I think he'll lead the charge. Kyrie Irving, I think he's in a good position. I think he's played in the world sport. I mean, they've got a lot of experience amongst the players they do have that have played in the world games before, with either in the World Championships or FIBA or whatever it is they've played in. So they've got enough guys with experience. I don't think they're going to be all that bad. France, though, like I said, that's the one team that could give them trouble, and I like who they're that team's a nicely put together team, really.
Yeah, and it's one of those where I would have followed a little more closely if Hayward had joined the team, but he stayed home to be there for the birth of his second child, so that's great. And it's nice to know he was invited. But when it comes to Jazz players, it's going to be other countries watching for, most notably Gobert and Dia on the French team.
Yep. No, and I kind of like what that team's put together. So now, is it sad that I'm not as much into the Olympics? Not just the NBA or the basketball portion, but the summer games just have lost a lot of their luster this year for me. I don't know about you, but the summer games, the Olympics, have always been one of my favorite sporting events, but I can honestly say that this might be the first time I'm really not that invested in it.
I can see that, but the Olympics are always ones where I don't really care that much until they actually start and they're on my TV, and then my interest just shoots right up. And I bet you this is going to be the same thing.
So come Friday night, they're going to post the opening ceremonies. You'll kind of casually check it out, and it'll be like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They do it every summer and winter Olympics.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, summer games have always been my favorite, but not for basketball reasons. I'm a track star guy, so the track and field events have always been near and dear to my heart when it comes down to the Olympic Games, especially the fastest man in the world races. So Usain Bolt, I love you, man. That's all there is to it. So I put my notes away. What's next? What do we got else here?
Well, we had a question come in. I asked people for questions, and we got one from Riley, which I just lost. There it is. Which individual player are you looking most forward to seeing this upcoming season for the Jazz?
That might be twofold because I might have a couple of guys. Alec Burks being one of them. Is it sad that this is another year where I'm saying, please, I'm looking forward to what he can do, but he's one guy. And if I could choose the collective bench, especially the new guys we got, but I'd have to say George Hill. I am really excited to see what George Hill can do in a Jazz uniform.
Yeah, if I was doing two, it would be George Hill and Dante Exum. It's just such an upgrade on point guard that our two rotating starters with Neto and Mack are now fighting to be the third point guard on this team. I can't wait to see what Hill is like with these players, and I can't wait to see how much of a bounce back Exum has, because he was showing really great progress there late in the season, and so I hope he's able to return to be the player that he was.
With George Hill in there, as we both have talked about it, I can't wait for that first moment when Gordon Hayward goes into the paint where he seems to draw the attention like he has the last couple of years, have him kick it out to a wide open George Hill for a deep three and have him bang it down. I can just hear, I can hear it on TV. Craig Bowler, bang, that to me already excites me. We have a guy that's a knockdown 3-point shooter. I mean, Alec Burks is too. We've got guys on this team that already can do that, but to have a guy at point guard that can bang down a three and take pressure off of the lane for Gordon and for other guys, yeah, I am waiting for that. It's going to happen opening night. It's gonna. And I'm going to be out of my seat, hooping and hollering.
Yeah, I already find myself. I can't wait for the schedule to come out. Everything in the build-up to the. Now, I did see one note that it looks like 2 of their preseason games are going to be with Portland, so that'll be a nice size up to see how they match early on.
And that's not surprising. And actually, I hope they'll match better than last year. I don't know if you remember last year, but the preseason games, even opening night against Portland, ouch. We didn't match up with them very well at all early on in the season. I don't think we ever really did, but that was a blowout game, and I thought, man, no, thank you. So, no, that's having them in preseason, seeing how we match it. That's a great, great start and a gauge opportunity for us to see where it's going to be.
Yeah. Your voice is sounding a little digital to me, so I really hope that it's just my ears and it's not what's happening on the recording.
Nope, you're good. It is just your ears.
Oh, good. Another story that's floating around is Big 12 is looking to expand, and BYU seems to be a good candidate for it. I can't seem to find when any decision is going to actually be made. But the main story around it right now is how ESPN and Fox are both unhappy with the Big 12 deciding to expand.
And we don't have Devin to ground us tonight, so the two of us can go crazy with BYU talk, and that's okay. And to all our listeners out there who love the Jazz and maybe love University of Utah, like I know many of you do, you just please bear with us and have fun with this, because we're going to. Okay, what are your thoughts? Big 12, yes, no? How do you feel about it?
I really hope they join. I saw something about a week or so ago that they thought it was going to be a lot easier for BYU to join the Big 12 with Sataki as the head coach. Apparently, Mendenhall rubbed a lot of people wrong. So that was encouraging to see that. Encouraging by means they think that the personnel at BYU will be easier to work with. I wouldn't mind football only, although it looks like they actually have a better shot of doing more than that rather than football only, which is, probably ideal. Just go ahead and put them in the Big 12. And then I'm seeing that they also haven't decided if it's going to be 2 or 4 teams. So we got to wait and see on that too.
And then, of course, ESPN and Fox throws it out Monday morning, the wrench. And I don't know if you caught that, but everybody was up in arms about that. Fox, ESPN trying to put the stop on the expansion. So, am I coming through okay?
Yeah, I just need to move rooms real quick.
Okay.
I got to find a room where nobody's in it. Everyone is walking around. All right. Let's try this one. Hopefully I still sound okay.
You sound just fine.
Okay.
It's a question of whether I sound okay or not, and we're probably not going to know this till later. And if not, oh well.
That'll be fun.
So, no, but did you catch what went down Monday morning with the Fox and ESPN report?
I just saw some headlines. I don't really remember what else there was.
So there was the report that came out Monday morning, and it became the discussion point all day long that Fox and ESPN, due to money reasons, is trying to and contract reasons, is trying to put a stop to the expansion for the Big 12. They don't want them to expand. They don't want to pay out more money, and so I don't know. There's I'm kind of mixed feelings on all this. I feel like BYU is a target and has been a target of the Big 12 for quite a while. And for those listening, my BYU blue goggles are off right now. I'm speaking from an objective point of view. I do believe that BYU has been or is a target for the Big 12, and I think that they're probably tops on that list. But I think Fox, ESPN, they don't want to pay out more money. It's obvious they don't, especially if they think it's going to be downgraded competition on TV. And again, I don't think that has anything to do with BYU. I think it has to do with the other teams that are being considered for expansion. So another wrench thrown into this entire deal. I don't know how much you thought of that.
I've always believed that most of the Big 12 schools don't want to expand. And if they do expand, I think they recognize the benefits of having BYU, but I also think that there's obstacles with BYU, and it's felt to me like those outweighed the benefits of BYU. Most notably, won't play on Sunday, and just dealing in general with private university. But
I think the second part of your no, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I'm gathering that some of those obstacles or concerns have kind of eased over the last year or two, maybe with behind-the-scenes negotiations and offers and whatnot.
No, I agree. I don't know how much the Sunday play was ever an issue, but I think you're right on with the private university bit. I think there's a lot to be said with that. But maybe the Sunday play is more than I'm giving credit for. Maybe it is closer to what you were doing. But you're right. In the end, I think it's warmed up. It's evened out. It's a little more even keel now. And I think most of the teams in the Big 12, most of the colleges, the universities are on board with the idea of bringing BYU on. I think the real question right now with expansion is who's your team that's going to be with you. If it's going to be BYU, who else is it going to be?
Well, I know the Texas governor's putting pressure to have Houston be one of them.
Right.
And I'm not really sure what the interstate politics are with that, but I think they'd also really like Cincinnati.
Right.
So I would think, I actually think, if they're going to 4 teams, I think your first 3 are BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston. and then I'm not exactly sure who that fourth team would be. And if they're only doing 2 teams, it would be 2 of those 3. And I do think BYU would still be 1.
Yes. I think BYU is number 1 on that list. No matter how you look at the rest of those teams, I think BYU is number 1 on the choice of that list. And then it's everybody else. And yeah, it's any combination of the other teams. But I don't know. There's still some roadblocks to get over. I suspect we'll hear something by the end of this month, and that's what everybody's saying. They're saying that we'll know by the start of the college football season, because I think that's what they want to do. I don't know about you. If independents can continue to score a schedule like they're getting this year, I am not opposed to continuing as an independent. But if they start running amok with some scheduling issues like they've last 2 or 3 years with teams like San Jose State, Idaho State, stuff like that, I'm not interested. I'm not, and that's where my problem has been with part of independence. I've become very disinterested with some of the games because of who they're playing.
Yeah, and those games are usually toward the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you want toward the end of your season to have more exciting games, but they always seem to end the season on Idaho State or something.
Right.
And no one really cares about those games. And when you're independent, all you have to really go for is the national championship. Right. And so as soon as you lose one game, you're not going for a conference title anymore. So,
well, or you're at least shooting for a bowl, and it depends on what that bowl is. I mean, and if you're really excited about postseason play in a bowl and not a national championship, then I guess you can be okay with it. And
yeah,
it doesn't bother me. No.
Yeah, but I would still just much prefer them to be in the Big 12.
I agree. No, in the end, if I had a choice, obviously I'd take the Big 12. But I'm not heartbroken if the Cougars don't get in. I might be a little irritated over it, but I'm done playing this up and down game that has been BYU to the Big 12 for the last 5 years. It's like, okay, either they are or they aren't. Can we please move on?
Yeah.
So, and as far as the rest of the sports go, I don't get into any of the other sports except maybe basketball, and sometimes I don't even watch enough college basketball to care, sadly enough.
Yeah, I can see that. For my own fandom, it's I'm really just a BYU football fan, and I don't really care about the other stuff. So if they went football only, that would probably affect me about the same amount as if they went full in. So that's all I'm looking for. Okay, that's probably enough talk of that.
Yes, I think so. So if you're asleep, people wake up, because we're back. No more BYU to Big 12 talk.
All right, what's the last movie you saw in theaters?
Went and saw Ghostbusters over the weekend.
Oh, good. What did you think?
I was pleasantly surprised. I went in with little to low to no to negative expectations, really. It was down there on the low end of the totem pole for me. So I sat there and was quite entertained for the full length of the film. And I left it feeling like, wow, that was a good film. That was a good film, a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, it's like the run-up to the film was just so exhausting because there was so much controversy and negative stories and all of that was just unfortunate, because it was just like, well, can we just actually see the movie? I mean, my biggest beef wasn't the gender swap, because I like Paul Feig and I like those actresses, but the fact that they weren't making it a sequel, that they were making it a reboot. And then watching the movie, that was my beef, is that it was a reboot, but you brought back all these Ghostbuster actors to make cameos to constantly remind you that the original movie existed, and there was cameos of the Slimer comes back and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man makes an appearance, and so I spent the whole movie just wishing that they had made a decision, either make it your own movie or go ahead and make it a sequel. But if you make it your own movie and yet constantly remind me that there was this original every 7 minutes, I can't really fully enjoy it and lose myself in it.
You know what? You and I think alike on this note. Now, I didn't spend the movie feeling that way, But that was one of the reasons why I didn't care to see this film. It had nothing to do with the gender equalities, the gender, or race or anything else like that. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that there are a few films in my childhood growing up that I feel are untouchable when it comes to reboots. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think Ghostbusters was one of those films. I didn't want a reboot of it. And when they started talking about it a couple of years ago, I said, please no. I'd rather you continue the story. That's great, but please don't reboot it. And this had reboot written all over it. And while they tried their best to maybe not make it look that way, like you said, they kept reminding us throughout the movie that, in a sense, it was. So that if there is one complaint, I'd agree with you. That's probably my complaint about it. The cameos, though, were great. Dan Aykroyd, I didn't even realize. It wasn't until after the movie was over somebody told me where Dan Aykroyd was. That's how much I really passed over. And maybe that's how much he's changed in life, because he just does not look good anymore.
Yeah, I didn't instantly recognize him. I realized it was him about halfway through his scene. But I did enjoy a lot of it. I thought Chris Hemsworth stole the show. I really liked Leslie Jones. I did not like Kate McKinnon. She just felt like she was there to amuse herself the whole time.
You didn't like her?
I didn't like her. She was just so weird and out there, and her character didn't really have much to do in the movie. It was just like she wandered in from SNL and was just trying all these weird, quirky things to amuse herself, but it never clicked for me.
See, and I think she was one of the ones I actually did like from the start. And, well, okay, at the beginning I thought, a little weird, but when she popped her head up, but then the rest of the way, I thought she provided some very good comic relief that I thought fed really well into the entire movie. So I don't know. I disagree. I liked her. I don't know if I really. Maybe I don't know if I really dislike anybody. Really, I don't know.
There was one other thing that really was not the movie's fault, but this just bugs me with marketing in general. They gave away way too much in the previews. I'm talking like punchlines, because as you watch the movie, there's so many scenes where it starts and you're like, oh, this is the scene from the trailer. And so you know how the scene's going to end. And that's not the movie's fault, but it's this trend with movie trailers where they give away too much. And I'm okay with them giving away like long scenes, but if you are giving me a scene from every few minutes of the movie, so I know what's going to happen in every scene, it just kind of kills some of the enjoyment. Yeah. So I wish they hadn't done that.
The one thing that marketing didn't do was give Chris Hemsworth too much time, which is probably good, because in the movie I actually found him funny.
Maybe that's why. Because yeah, you're right. He didn't have a lot of his stuff ruined.
No, and in the movie, I really got a kick out of it. I mean, I like when he's wearing the glasses in the scene and he's talking to him and he goes to scratch his eye and he pokes through the glass with no lens, scratches his eye, and then he covers them up as if he's hiding the sound. Not his ears, his eyes. And I mean, that whole scene cracked me up. Of course, he provided eye candy for my wife. I mean, my wife thinks he's something to look at. So, if my wife had one complaint about that film, it was that his shirt was not off enough. But that's neither here nor there. I thought he provided some really good sparks in that movie, and I enjoyed his part.
Well, that's understandable. I also saw Star Trek Beyond.
How was it?
It was really good. It was definitely an improvement over Star Trek Into Darkness. This is the one that this felt like it was its own movie finally. And by that I mean J.J. Abrams, when he revived Star Trek, he brought in a lot of spirit from the original. And you kind of got to re-meet all the characters again, and we got to go through the alternate timeline plot point. All that's good, and that's all set up. Star Trek Into Darkness had unfortunately, it was a remake of Wrath of Khan, so it didn't really feel original.
Right.
So this one, it was finally back to original story, and it felt like any plot from any of the episodes of the original series expanded out into this cool big budget 2-hour movie. And I like that aspect of it. There was a lot of focus on character this time around. There were a lot of interaction you could have fun with, and the highlight for me was having Spock and McCoy spend at least half of the movie, just the two of them separated from everybody else, and so you got to see how that relationship is. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Somebody was telling me that a good majority of the movie was about the two of them, which was a little bit off the beaten path, maybe?
Well, once the Enterprise crash lands on this foreign planet, and you know in the preview that happens, but you're probably a good half hour into the movie before that happens. Once it does, the crew gets separated into little chunks, and you see them in different parts of the area, and they eventually come together. But Spock and McCoy are stranded together, and so they spend a lot of it is just the two of them, while other crew members are off finding other things that are advancing you toward the climax. But theirs is the one, I guess, that stuck out the most. And I thought this was Carl Urban's best work to date. Spock actually, I feel like they're making him a little too human and letting him show a little too much emotion. Wish they would make him a little more stoic, but maybe in this alternate timeline, he's just found an easier way to get in touch with his feelings. I don't know. I wish Chekhov had done more, but how could they have known that the actor was going to die?
Right.
But every time I saw him, I'm like, oh man, Anton Yelchin. So that had that level of sadness to it. And I really like the villain. One of Star Trek's weaknesses is the villain isn't always great. But I think of the rebooted movies, this one's probably their best one to date, and it helps that it's Idris Elba who's playing him. But I really enjoyed his story too. Although if I think about it too long, it just completely falls apart, so I won't do that.
Well, and speaking of Idris Elba, that man's busy anyway. I'm looking forward to some movies coming up for him, and coming up in the near future. Dark Tower being one of them. So, I like the guy, so I'm looking forward to this movie.
Yeah, we're seeing.
So let's jump quickly to TV series. Netflix. You and I talked a little off air earlier. Stranger Things. Have you had a chance to watch much of it?
Yeah, I'm 3 episodes in, and I'm really enjoying it. It's got the time period nailed, and it feels a lot like Steven Spielberg meets Stephen King. I love the soundtrack. I love the old school font that they use in the opening credits. I was on board right away, and so I love seeing you got 80 stars like Winona Ryder and Matthew Modine coming back, and I think the casting of the kids is really good, and so I'm hooked, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of it goes.
I really like Ryder in this. She's doing an excellent job as the mother.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. I can't disagree with anything you said. Although I was thinking more of Close Encounters of the Third Kind meets Poltergeist, but still.
Well, those are both Spielberg-touched products, so that works.
Yes, they are.
It feels a lot like Super 8, the TV series.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot too. I can see why. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I can see why. I'm 2 episodes in. I've got a lot more to go. I've got 6 more, but I'm enjoying it, really enjoying it. So, all right. Well, short episodes tonight. Nothing. Anything else to add? Or are we good?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right. So, short episode tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us. Go out and see Star Trek. Go out and see Ghostbusters. Next week, I think John and I don't know whether you're planning this weekend, but I'm going to be seeing Suicide Squad, so I think you and I might have something to talk about next week. And check out Netflix Stranger Things. It's really good, guys. If you have not watched it, I think most of you probably have, but if you haven't, it's worth your time. Thanks for joining us. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher, Facebook, and Twitter, all at the same place, Jedi and Jerms. Hit us up. leave us a review. Interact with us. Let us know what you think of the show. We appreciate your time and appreciate you listening. And as always, look forward to next week. John, take us out.
Bye, everybody.